Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 15 4 key game picks. Before we talk about week number 15, I don't want to get into too much details on what happened in week number 14, so I'm going to do my best to keep it short and sweet, even though I say that a lot, but I'm going to try here. Obviously, I want to begin with, of course, possibly the game of the year, which I'm talking about the San Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints, a game that went back and forth, and a game that was more like last year's game between the Chiefs and the Rams, a high-scoring game, but the only difference is that this game ended in a field goal, a last-second field goal by the 49ers, but obviously the key in that game really was Kettle. My goodness, this guy's a beast. The San Francisco 49ers found their playmaker, and he's going to be tough to defend for years. And whoever plays them, and of course the teams that are within the NFC West, they have to deal with him twice a year. And really, I mean, you could say so much that it was the game of the year, and obviously here we go again with the referee calls. Of course, there was a pass interference penalty that was not called in the first half of that game, and then there was actually a penalty in the second half and towards the end when Kettle made a big play to keep the 49ers with the ball in the possession to try to win the game. And, of course, a penalty was tackled onto it with the face mask. I mean, really, this year, the last 2 years, including last year, the New Orleans Saints are just getting snake bit in terms of getting penalties called going against them and penalties that are not in their favor. I don't know what more to say about that. I mean, Sean Payton was already pissed. He was already pissed off at the referees, and he didn't want to talk about it in his press conference after that game. But really, right now, it's really tough to say. Now, look, if you're a Saints fan and all that, really, the only way you're going to make a statement is you got to make a statement in the postseason, in the playoffs, in order to shut up the critics. Otherwise, as much as you want to say and talk about the referees and all that, this was a game that went back and forth. Your defense really wasn't that impressive at all. It was really a high-scoring game. Both defenses really did not play all that well either. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the Saints have to make a statement in the postseason in order to prove everybody wrong. Two other games I want to talk about, Ravens and Bills. Two games that went, another two good games here. The Bills really, if they can stay course next year and a few years and beyond, they got a contending team for years to come. Josh Allen, in his second year quarterback, really is making a statement and really providing some spark for that Buffalo Bills team. Even though they came up short against the Ravens, they have nothing to hold their heads down with. Buffalo Bills Mafia, you got a contending team. Hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully that the same what happens with the Patriots and Tom Brady. Maybe if they're out of the way, you can take back a division that you guys once dominated. And speaking of Baltimore here, I'm talking about the Ravens here, despite a good win, I'm getting some reports in. Remember, at the time of this video, I was reading something that there may be something going on with Lamar Jackson's quad. If you're a Ravens fan, that is, you try not to hit the panic button here, but there could be a problem here. And something that you do not want at a critical time and point right now. Could something be wrong with Lamar Jackson? From what I'm reading here, that he's expected to play Thursday night against the Jets. But hopefully it does not affect his performance and all that. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Raven fans, you better hope so. And finally, of course, I want to talk about the Chiefs and the Patriots game. You know, the Patriots can talk about the refs all they want. But let me be clear about this here. For so many years already, penalties have gone in the Patriots' favor. And now the Patriots are feeling what everybody else has been feeling in terms of pain, in terms of penalties that were going against them. They're saying that they got screwed by the referees. Patriot fans, I don't want to hear it. As much as you guys complain, you have a gripe. But lately, now you're feeling what a lot of NFL teams have been feeling. Every time they play against your football team, lately, penalties have gone in your favor. And of course, I'm talking about what happened in the AFC Championship last year. And of course, after that game, and from what I'm reading now, another Spygate video is coming. Look, I don't want to hear any more gripes about that Patriots. It's really, I don't like to rant here, but just, you knew what was happening, and you know it. I'm not gonna. I think the rest of us here, we don't need any more hatred of you guys, as we already hate you guys enough already. All right. Prove it on the football field. See if you can win without any type of cheating and all that. Anyways, let's get on to week number 15. All right, let's begin with key game number 1, and this is a big one for the Chicago Bears. Second meeting of the year between the Bears and the Packers. Packers are 5-point favorite in this one, and I agree with that. The Bears might be on a small winning streak here, but now here comes the test with the Packers. Can they go on the Lambeau Field and upset this football team? Mitch Trubisky, 23 of 31, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. In a big win against the Cowboys last Thursday night. Aaron Rodgers against the Redskins went 18 of 28, 195 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. This is pretty much the season right here for the Chicago Bears. Mathematically, they're still alive, but the Seahawks and the Vikings are still continuing to win, and the Rams are not that far behind either, and they hold the tiebreaker against them. So right now, this might be the Bears' last opportunity to stay alive. If they lose this game, even though mathematically they still might be in it, in my honest opinion, I think the Bears lose this game, they're done. They are done. Comes down for the Bears defense. Can they finally get to Aaron Rodgers? You could kind of tell between the previous games, between the last tough game that the Packers had against the 49ers, that they were able to get to Aaron Rodgers. That's got to be the key for the Bears. If they don't get to Aaron Rodgers, they're going to lose this game for sure. Packers are trying to hold on to that division. They know the Vikings are right behind them. And pretty much, I'm picking the Packers here. I think they'll win in a much closer game again, like they had in the first meeting during week 1. But I think it's going to be much tougher than Aaron Rodgers will imagine. If that first meeting between the Bears and Packers wasn't tough enough as it was, I think it's going to get even more tougher. I expect this to be another low-scoring game. I think the Bears' defense I think they'll get to Aaron Rodgers again, but I just think Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense is just more talented than the Bears. I like the Packers in this one here. Packers over the Bears. Key game number 2, a big one in the AFC South. 2 teams that are tied for first place. It is the Houston Texans versus the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are also a 3-point favorite in this one here. That number should be much lower. Even though, despite the fact that the Texans played so poorly last week against the Broncos, I think they'll be more ready for this game than they were against Denver. Now, Watson, 28 of 50, 292 yards, 1 touchdown, but there was 2 big interceptions he had last week against the Broncos. Now, Ryan Tannehill, 21 of 27, 391 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception in a big win over the Raiders last week. This boils down a couple of key points here for both these 2 teams. Which defense shows up, which team doesn't turn the ball over, and who can punch it into the end zone. This is gonna be a tight game all the way. Now, keep in mind, they're gonna meet one more time in week 17. So possibly the division might be at stake here. Now, the winner of this game pretty much takes the lead in the AFC South here. I'm actually going to go with the Texans here. I think the Texans are going to win this game. They know they have to really prove themselves now. Tennessee. Now, I don't know if I want to trust Ryan Tannehill. He may be playing good right now, but now this comes to test against the Texans. Now, I know the Texans are pretty much evenly matched with them, but I just think that Watson will get it together, and I think that he'll get that offense going for the Texans, and I think they'll give the Titans a game, and I think they'll overtake them in a very close game here. I see the Texans winning by a field goal here, and I'm sticking with that pick here. Texans over the Titans. Key game number 3, a big one here for both these 2 teams here. The Rams versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a slight favorite at 2 points. That number might go to a 1.5. And the reason I say that, the Rams coming off a big upset win a big win against the Seattle Seahawks. They're pretty much, for at least one more week, keep their playoff hopes alive. Jared Goff, 22 of 31, 293 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He didn't have his best game against the Seahawks, even though the score showed that they were the better team, and they did play much better than A lot of people thought they would play, even though I actually did in my description, I did pick the Seahawks to beat them. But let's just see what happens here against the Cowboys. Now the Cowboys also on a losing streak right now, and they know, and knowing full well in a game they have to have because the Eagles beat the Giants Monday night. Dak Prescott, 27-49, 334 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. This is it. This is pretty much for both these two teams. Their seasons are pretty much on the line here. Loser this game may be in trouble. Now, the Rams, I pretty much think if they lose this game, I see, even though mathematically they might still be alive, but in my opinion, Rams lose to the Cowboys, I think they're done. Cowboys here, it might be kind of hard for them. They have a difficult remaining schedule as it is, including one more meeting against Philadelphia coming up soon. Dallas really has to get their game plan together. The Rams are on a little bit of a hot streak right now, and I'm going to say this up front here. I think the Cowboys will end that streak. I just think for some reason here, they know that a lot of things are at stake here for this Cowboy team. And I'm actually going with the Dallas Cowboys. I think they'll beat the Rams in a very close game. Very close game. I'm going to pick the Cowboys here. I wouldn't surprise me if this game goes to overtime here to decide this one here. Cowboys know their season is at stake here because the Eagles have a much easier schedule in Week 17, as do of course they have to meet the Cowboys again next week in Week 16. Tough to say what happens here. Now, Cowboys know they're at lots at stake here. This is where they need to get it together here. And if they don't, and the Rams win this game, I think the Cowboys may have given the division to the Eagles here, because it will only give the Eagles more confidence going into the next meeting. I'm picking the Cowboys here. I think they'll win here, and it wouldn't surprise me if this game goes to overtime here. Cowboys over the Rams. And finally, key game number 4. Obviously, for the time being, this is for wild card positioning here. It is the Buffalo Bills versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers are a 1.5 point favorite in this one here. It wouldn't be surprised if that number goes to 1. The way the Bills are playing right now, even though they lost to the Ravens last week, they know this is a game that they could win this one here against Pittsburgh here. Now, Josh Allen, 17 of 39, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Hodges for the Steelers, 16 of 19, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. Now, the Steelers didn't really have their best game against the Cardinals, but they did get enough to stay alive in the postseason and start clinging right now. They're still clinging to the 6th seed right now in the AFC. For the Bills right now, they know that they need another win here to keep pace with the Patriots because they do meet in Week 16. Now, boils down to the point here, the Bills have the much better defense than the Steelers. Steelers' offense is about evenly matched with the Bills, but the Bills have an advantage in defense here. Who do I see coming out of this game? If the Bills' defense can muster together a good game plan and stop Hodges in that Pittsburgh offense here, I like the Bills in this game. I think the Buffalo Bills will beat the Steelers here in a very, very close game. I think the Steelers might hit a wall here. I don't know if that wall is going to knock them out of the 6th seed, but really tough to say right now who comes out on top, what will happen in that part here. But the way for the Steelers here is they got to find a way to break through that Bills defense here in order to win this football game. Because in all honesty here, the Bills defense is still tough. There might be a little bit some injuries going on, but I like the Bills in this game. I think that Bills defense will get to Hodges and the Steelers in this game here, and it could halt the Steelers' chances of making the postseason. And I'm picking the Bills in this one here. I think the Bills will beat the Steelers here. Bills over the Steelers. All right, everybody, that wraps up my picks for my 4 key game picks for week number 15. For all my week 15 picks, please check the description below, and I'll talk to you guys next week when I talk about my picks for week 16 as we're coming down to the wire in the final weeks of the regular season. Until then, everybody, take care and enjoy your football weekend.